Welcome back to the Gritty Mamas podcast. This is season 2, episode 3. I'm sure we'll have a title of some sort instead of just saying episodes.
It'll come.
But thanks for being here. So it's late at night, but here we are. We were talking last week we were talking an hour ago about the gag order that was basically slapped on me. And I couldn't say anything about anything without it being used against me. And
which left you utterly and totally alone.
Yeah, it was isolating. And we were just talking about how not only did they lose, their dad in this whole ugly situation, but they lost me as a mother in the process, because I have had to become not just 10 different roles, but now 20. The nurturer, the disciplinary, the provider. And see, if I was saying this a year ago, if I had said I was the provider, that would have been used against me as...
You'd be held in contempt, whatever that even means.
Yeah, for disparaging him by assuming that he's not providing. Well, and the truth is he's not. He's not. So anyway, there are a lot of other reasons, though, that other women and even men are not speaking. Sometimes they don't even have a gag order, but they are scared. There's a lot of fears. I don't know if you want to list them.
Well, I was sitting there thinking I went back and forth a lot in talking about this podcast. Do we? Don't we? Is this okay? Is it not okay? What can we say? What can we not? But I started thinking, okay, you can talk about this legally, but what are some other reasons that you might, or that somebody else might not talk about it? And I think you and I both are, I don't like the camera. I don't post a lot publicly, but I don't mind sharing my opinion. I have been known to share some opinions a time or two. But there are a lot of people who have a huge fear of rejection. They can't handle the idea of somebody thinking they're wrong.
And I've had that experience where I've expressed something and someone has been like, no, that's not how
You're
it
on
goes.
Instagram. It happens every day.
Yeah. But when it comes to court stuff and it's personal and you're like, wait, no, but this really did happen. And then they're like, no, you're full of crap. And then it shuts you down and you're like, I'm not ever going to speak of this again. Because it's not just rejection, it's retaliation. Like I just mentioned, I already had the bells whistling in my ears about me saying I'm providing for the most part, and having that, is that going to be used against me? So there's the fear of retaliation.
I mean, there's also, I know that there's modern definition of violence and what that looks like. So I guess we could define that. But there's the fear of violence, especially currently. We are past September 10th, and we all know what happened on September 10th. We are filming and recording this podcast 10 minutes from what is probably the greatest martyrdom in our lifetime. Just down the street. And there are people who are experiencing violence in their relationship, and they live in fear that if they say anything to anyone, something horrible will happen. And not usually to them, yes to them, but they're really afraid of what will happen to their children.
Yeah. And I've seen it firsthand where their kids are taken away. Their kids are taken away because lots of times attorneys will advise you don't speak about the abuse, because as soon as you do, it opens up this can of worms for the opposing party to say you've brainwashed the kids and you're lying. And then you bring in custody evaluators and you bring in special masters and you bring in reunification therapists, and they
which you get to pay for, I'm sure.
Yes, of course. And then your kids get taken from you because the other party has more money to get more experts or professionals on board who are siding with the person that has the most money. And
which, by the way, any professional attorney will tell you that there's always an expert to say what you want.
Oh yeah.
When they have a battle of it's kind of like how didn't you say, was it last time that you were talking about how the judge just only wanted to hear from you guys and got rid of all of your witnesses?
He did.
And I think that's wise, because a judge who's been around a long time knows that there's always somebody to say what you want. If you have enough money, you can buy not anybody, you can buy an opinion for anything.
You can. For example, the petitioner, and if you remember last week, Alex is the petitioner. He spent $30,000 on his forensic accountant. Well, you think that forensic accountant is going to say, is going to go against what Alex wants him to say? $30,000.
What does a forensic accountant do?
They went through his bank statements, like went line by line, and decided, without even speaking to him, mind you, decided what were considered business expenses and what were considered personal expenses. And so,
because he didn't, this is the day in court, I was actually there, where he didn't have a business account and a personal account.
Yeah.
So they had to separate the two, which like breaks my brain a little bit.
Oh yeah. Tell me about it. So this forensic accountant spent 150 plus hours, and he said it was grueling.
I need to be a forensic accountant.
Sheesh. Going through all of his accounting and categorizing everything. He called it his methodology. What was considered business? What was considered personal? What was considered attorney fees? And I'll never forget Alex saying, "Well, do attorney fees count as business expenses?" And kind of chuckled to himself.
I was
like,
there
"Oh my
that.
gosh, yeah, don't say that, you know." And so he spent $30,000 on his forensic accountant. I spent $6,000 on my forensic accountant to go through my things. And so you think, if I'm going to, how am I going to go up against a guy that, you know, he got $30,000 from his client? He's going to tell him what he wants to know. Yes, Alex spent $250,000 on business expenses. And he only made like $300,000. And so $50,000, he only made $50,000 for the whole year, you know? So we had to fight. Like, no, those are not all business expenses. I don't even know how we got down this path, but this is the fear of what?
All of it? Violence?
Violence. I mean, it's who has the most money.
We got there from violence.
Sheesh.
But everybody has, how we got there was everybody, or there's always an opinion to be paid for. Mm-hmm. If you have enough money, you can get the right opinion.
Yep.
That's how we got there.
Yeah.
You guys, it's like almost midnight.
I know. Can we do
Forgive our
it?
brains.
Oh my gosh. And I think my camera's sideways.
Literally today, I was Marco Poloing one of my friends on the way here. And I was like, hold please. I paused because I had to rewind myself, listen, and then go back to complete my thought. I was like, I literally have to stop mid-sentence because you know me, I had to like stop, tell a story to talk about a point, and then I couldn't remember why I told the story.
Yeah.
Here we are
to remind ourselves.
Now
oh my gosh.
On a podcast doing it.
That's right. We should talk about Barry Goldstein and what he has to say about.
Yeah, I would introduce who Barry Goldstein is.
Okay. Yes, and I wrote this down.
You know him from.
I know him from Dana, who is my domestic violence national expert.
We're going to call that DV.
Yes, DV. So Barry Goldstein is an expert witness. He is a domestic violence advocate. He is the founder of the Safe Child Act. He was an attorney from which state? New York State University?
He went to New York State,
and he became an attorney, and he was working with perpetrators and trying to help rehab them, but then moved away from that and started protecting women. He's also the author of 5 leading books on domestic violence and the research director.
Good job saying DV.
Yes, DV.
The algorithm is not going to like us.
Oh my gosh. So he had a lot to say about why we were quiet, why we're silent about things. You want to read that? Or
there's a lot
scan
of
it.
What do you want? Gag orders are the ultimate means to silence and control. They're mainly used against women. Judges end up limiting what the victims can say. They reinforce victims' shame. Gag orders go so far as to prevent a victim from speaking to a therapist, doctor, clergy member, or even a victim's advocate, a violation of a victim's civil rights, which I was trying to think, like, what does that look like? How can they prevent you from seeing or talking to a therapist or a doctor or a clergy member? One of them, you were saying before we pushed record, weren't you, about how you know somebody whose kid read a text that they sent to somebody else?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for example, I was afraid to say anything to a therapist because all you have to do is subpoena the chart notes.
What? Really?
Yeah. You subpoena the chart notes from the therapist, and then that can be read. So it's like
So you go to therapy and you say nothing.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
helpful.
and then, for example, one of my friends who has a current case going on right now had been raped by her own husband.
Which
It's
I
a
don't
thing,
think you
like-
can say that either on YouTube.
You can't say raped.
I mean, you can. I just don't know if it'll make it explicit.
Maybe we'll
have to be
censor that
looking
word.
into this.
So, but how else do you say that?
I mean, I don't
S
think you're
aid?
supposed- Yeah.
Oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh,
I
I'm
think
not
that's
going to
what they
make
say,
it
SA.
through.
We're both say it like it is kind of people, and
Oh
it's
my
really
gosh.
hard to not.
Anyway, it was somehow read over a text that she was confiding into someone. The daughter ended up reading it. And because the daughter knew about it, the victim, the wife, was like found in contempt because she spoke, because her daughter happened to have found it.
Like, okay, my phone and my iPad are connected.
Mm-hmm.
My youngest is almost 4. The next sibling is 9. The next one is 15, and then I have an 18-year-old, right? So those are big gaps. I had not told my other children that were then 4 years younger than they are now that I was pregnant. I did tell a friend. My friend responded, and that text came up on my iPad while a child was on it.
Yeah.
So my then 10-year-old
It's like, oh.
found out I was pregnant. She was like, Mom. And I was like, oh. Like, epic fail.
Yep.
But, like, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have this fear of literally saying anything to anyone.
Yep. And that's what we were talking about before. They lose their mother. Well, they've lost like their dad at the same time. I could
Dad
not
is
be
gone physically.
Yes.
And he's been removed. Well, in your case, he removed himself.
Yes.
But Mom is busy, emotionally not present.
And
because you're
again,
doing it
yeah,
yourself.
well, yeah, it's like he's died. He has died overnight, and you're grieving someone who was still alive. So it's like you're grieving a death, but now having to fight this corpse, this someone that's haunting you. You have to fight them, in court, all while still taking care of your kids and keeping your same standard of living and keeping them involved in their sports and their extracurricular activities, and make sure that you don't drown and go in the hole financially. And it's impossible.
Yeah, because you're having to fill so many shoes at one time. You can. I mean, they love to talk about putting on your mask in the airplane before you put on your kids. We hear this all the time, which I don't want to mock. Like, it is correct. That is absolutely true. You cannot help other people if you yourself are dead.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, you need to stay alive. We understand that. But you don't have time to put on your own mask. You don't have the ability. Like, it is all you can do. So David Bednar talks about balance and how it's all it is figuring out which plate in the air is about to drop and just not letting that one drop. You have so many plates about to drop that it's impossible to even think about the one that's on top of your head for yourself, right? It's like, that doesn't exist. So your kids lose who you were, who they thought you were, who they wanted you to be. You lose who you were, who you wanted to be. And here you are, kind of a shell of a human just trying to survive.
Yep. That's exactly what it is.
It's awful.
And things get pushed further and further down the priority list. Basically, I lost myself in motherhood, but not in the way that I wanted. And you lose, in a sense, your relationship with your kids. And then, I mean, it's just another reason to be silent about your life, because it's miserable and you don't want that to affect your kids. And they're already depressed as it is. And then they have a depressed mom, and it's just a free,
Spiral?
you're free falling. Yes. Into depression. I had 3 kids medicated at one point. I was medicated. I still am, because of the grief and the unbearable stress. And so when your kids are involved and you're afraid of losing them and having because if you heard in the last, when I played the commissioner speaking, she threatens with alimony that like I would pay, either I would pay him or he would have to pay less. So they that's why it's cash for kids. Like either shut up about it or do what I say or I take your kids away, or do what I say or you pay more money. Like they can just, and then it's a judgment that is filed. And then if you don't comply, you go to jail, you get slapped with contempt.
And it's more money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, what happens is you get punished financially or with your kids. So your kids always lose, which is another reason why at an event the other day, I was talking to a woman with a phenomenally hard, it's a phenomenal story in that she really shows up, right? She's an incredible woman, but she can't tell her story because she's like, my child was essayed by her dad. If I come out and say that, I'm telling her story. And then it's not my story to tell in that sense, but also I'm putting her at risk and I'm sharing her story and all of that. And this same woman is like, and I also have other family members that still have to deal with my ex other than her kids. So she didn't tell her story because other people like that are involved. And I think lots of people do that. They don't tell their stories because they care so much about the people around them. But then they fall deeper and deeper into the cracks.
Yep, into despair.
Yeah. So, I mean, can you think of other reasons why? I mean, another gal at that event was saying it was when her case went public that it got a lot of attention on the news, that she went from having zero negative dollars to her lawyers to $350,000, that the attention actually became a problem. I'm trying to think of other ones. Do you have some?
Gosh, it's just needless to say, the gag order being lifted has been the biggest blessing for me to finally be able to talk and to be able to share this with other women who are either entering this court process or are in it and don't know what they can and can't say. And this is all the stuff that Dana Tingey helped me through. She helped me to say, nope, if you say that, you're going to come across as this. And if you say that, she would always articulate to me, you have to speak to him or to opposing counsel as though you're speaking to the judge, because that's ultimately who it goes to and who's going to read all of your evidence and the way you speak to him. And so I took her advice. And because of that, I got the ruling that I did. I presented the way I presented because she coached me and taught me to, look, this year is going to suck. You have to keep everything to yourself, hold your tongue, and it will come out when it comes out, when you are finally able to speak. And so that is why I'm finally here now, is to let everybody know what happened, what went down, and what's going to happen from here on out.
And to use your platform, because one of the reasons we wrote down as to why women don't speak up is some don't have the resources, they don't have the platform, but you do.
Yeah, I do. And I feel a duty and an obligation, not to mention, I mean, I have all these resources that I've heard from so many others that I want to share, but couldn't because it was disparaging.
Like the Bishop Storehouse, but in court.
Yep.
Tell me this, you talk about Dana. Does she have is there a protection with her because she's a DV advocate? Like, did the gag order mean you couldn't talk to her?
No, I could talk to her, but I had to make sure that I retained her with my attorney. So there was like the privacy kind of act or privacy clause. So it's
similar to an attorney where if you hire the attorney, then there's that attorney-client privilege.
Okay. So we had to retain her. Otherwise, they could have subpoenaed her and gotten all of our conversations. But I didn't know that. So she's like, you've got to retain me or this is what can happen. I mean, I wrote letters to all the elementary school teachers and the high school teachers saying, look, if my kids are suffering or they're tired or they're crying in school somehow or because of a rough night, this is why their dad left and they have been depressed. I was then ordered to send all the letters that I sent to those teachers to opposing counsel. And then they used my own letters to these teachers against me as claiming disparagement. Because I was trying to tell the teachers.
Trying to protect your own children, trying to clarify. Because, okay, what do you do if now you are a single parent and the other parent doesn't show up for teachers? They don't show up for doctors. They don't show up to. Then you can't be honest and work through things for your children because the other parent doesn't show up. So then the kids are doubly
And then if you make any
affected.
decisions in behalf of your kids, then you're accused of alienation because you didn't involve the other parent. My friend, a fellow attorney and domestic violence survivor, her child was, I don't know if he was hiding in the washing machine or the dryer, but he was hiding in there, and dad turned the dryer on.
Nuh-uh.
And he got hurt inside. So mom took the son to the doctor to check his neck that was hurt. And then mom was found in contempt because she did not tell the dad that she took him to the doctor for him starting the dryer. How messed up it is. So that's just
I don't even know what to do with this.
I know. That's why you lose your mind and you go crazy, and women have committed suicide.
Another word you can't say on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
I don't mean to laugh because the word is funny. I laugh because we're so...
I can't do it.
I listen to a lot of YouTube series and content, and I hear them say that, and I always think it sounds silly that you have to say things like unalive or whatever. So I know when I hear things, oh, you're not supposed to say that. But
Oh my gosh, this is going to be an editing nightmare. Well, it's time to go anyway. My phone's about to die, so is my computer.
This may be a shorter episode.
Yes. And maybe it's now tomorrow. It's 12:10 a.m.
Okay, my watch died.
We're so tired, but we're here for you and want to get this out so that others can be helped and have some armor going into battle, because you need it. This is a long haul. It's a marathon. So anything to add?
I wish I had more to add.
We could talk for hours. It's too darn late. We will see you next time. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching and listening.
So now you know what it means to be gritty. You can be dirty, but you're still so pretty. Now make a pledge, you never take no pity. Baby, welcome to the gritty committee. She's a gritty girl, and she got gritty plans. So get out the way, so she can wash her hands of the blame and the shame and the claiming that she would never.